Hello and welcome to Plate Stack Chat. If it's your first time here because you wanted to see my wonderful guests, then thank you very much. Maybe if you're feeling generous, you could subscribe to the channel or give me a follow on Instagram at JasonCFmedia. And of course, if it's not your first time, well, welcome back. I'm going to assume you've already subscribed and you're following. And if not, you can, quickly rectify that before anybody notices, I'm sure. Now, of course, if the name of the channel or the Instagram handle hasn't given it away, I am, of course, Jason. And on this show, I like to bring along some great guests for a chat. So let's meet them right now. So first of all, we have a fantastic Norwegian athlete that spends her time hanging out with some incredibly fit people over in CrossFit Oslo. So it's no surprise that she's a pretty good athlete herself, having been at semi-finals in 2022 and 2023, and part of the online CrossFit Games back in 2020, and then most recently finishing 16th worldwide in the CrossFit Open. But most importantly, former guest and friend of the show, Sehakaya, told me I had to have her on, so it was inevitable. Please welcome Andrea Solberg.
Hello.
Hello, Andrea. Welcome to Plate Stack Chat. Of course, you are not here alone. Joining Andrea and myself is someone that is on an amazing CrossFit journey that has captured the attention of many people. Maybe it's watching for updates on the chalkboard or on articles on Morning Chalk Up, maybe even watching along as she checks in with her coaches. And she's had and has some pretty impressive coaches. But beyond that, you will also find her speaking at seminars or hosting summits on working with larger bodies. Please welcome Scaled Nation's own and doer of hard things, Athena Perez.
Hey,
Athena,
everybody.
welcome.
Mhm.
Hi.
So, Athena, apparently you're known for doing hard things, so this should be really easy in comparison.
Do that.
I'm hoping anyway.
These are fun. Yeah.
These are fun. Good.
These
Hear
are
that,
really
Andrea?
fun.
These are fun, just in case you were worried.
Yeah, no, I'm not worried.
So how is everyone on this fine? I want to say it's Monday, right? Yeah, good. Well, that's a little insight into how it's going for me. That
Yeah.
I'm just double checking we're still Monday.
Yeah,
But,
I'm good. It's Monday. Monday is my least favorite day on training because I need like 2 sessions to wake up my body from a full rest day. But it was doable today. So now it always goes upwards from Monday. But yeah, I'm fine. It could be worse.
Right. Could be worse. What nice positive attitude there. It could be worse. 2
Yeah.
sessions to wake me up. It could be worse.
Yeah.
Athena, lover or hater of Mondays?
You know what? I don't mind Mondays. It's the start of the week. It's like the day I get organized for everything coming up. And Mondays are quiet, so I like them.
Yeah, I generally like Mondays because it's the one day that my wife's at work, my kids are at school, and I'm off. And it's like the day I can do everything. The problem is then I feel like there's tremendous pressure on Monday because if it doesn't get done on Monday, the next kind of window I have is usually Friday. So if anything is important, it needs to get done on Monday. Otherwise, we'll see you at the end of the week. But it's good. I finally made it back into the gym for the first time this month because of school holidays and things that have kept me away, which was good. But my legs hurt a lot. So that's,
what was your first workout back, Jason?
So it was an interesting one. And I actually put up a post last night before going today because it was a like partition, as you choose kind of workout. And it was 120 calorie row, 80 front squats at 60 kilos, and 40 handstand push-ups, and a 20-minute time cap. So that's, I'm not an amazing. So as revealed on the last show, I'm quite short, so I'm not the best rower, and I'm also very light. So I only weigh 60. Let's say at the moment I'm maybe 67. I'm getting a bit heavier again. So, the squats aren't that far off body weight.
It was 80 squats.
80, yeah.
Wow.
And I love handstand push-ups. So they were fine. And so I put up a post on Instagram being like, how would you partition this workout? And I had some very interesting, responses, lots of different ideas, things I wouldn't have thought of. And then it was maybe 20 minutes before I was going to the gym this morning that Amy from the box actually messaged me with like a strategy. So a lot of people had said 10 rounds, a lot of people had said 8 rounds, and they just divided them up that way.
You can divide it however you want.
However you want.
Okay, I thought it was 120, 80, 40 in a go, and I was like, wow.
Hey, if you want, if that's what you want to do, Andrea, you're welcome to do it that way.
No way.
The way I did it was, and I'll be honest, didn't finish it, but the way I did it was 8 rounds, 15-calorie row, 5 front squats, 5 handstand push-ups, 5 front squats, and then back on the row, which just meant I never, nothing was ever to failure. It was just kind of manageable. And I did notice I was taking like bigger breaks as it was going, slightly bigger breaks before kicking up into the handstand, just because I didn't want to go back to the squats.
Yeah. I would do the exact same as you, because like rowing is okay, handstand push-up I love, the squats, so I would have divided them in as small pieces as I could.
Yeah. The only problem is you had to clean them every time as well, so it meant a lot more cleans.
Yeah.
Which is, but hey, we love CrossFit, right? That's
nice challenge.
Am I doing that math right? That's almost body weight for you, or that is body weight front squats for you?
Yeah, it's like depending on how much I happen to weigh at the moment, I'm not 100% sure, but it's always going to be between 64 and 68 kilos. My weight, it's sort of in that realm. I'm very, very light, very small. So yeah, and I have not squatted in quite a while. I realized
you're going to be sore for a week, I think.
Yeah, the one that really, like the open workout, the final open workout with the thrusters.
You got sore from that one?
So sore from that one.
I think most people did, so that's not like strange though.
No, and everyone was really concerned about like at the local kind of level, people were very concerned about either chest to bar, being like, oh, I can't do chest to bars, I've never done chest to bars, or muscle ups. That was the other concern. And for me, it was just I was just like, it's the thrusters. I don't mind.
It was the same for me, if that makes you feel better.
It does make me feel better.
I was only worried about the thrusters. So.
But then I didn't finish 16th in the open, so it makes me feel better on one hand, but on the other side, it
just means that like even though it was really heavy with the thrusters, I just find a way to do them, because I was like okay fast on that workout, but I did really small sets of thrusters. I just did like 4-3 reps at the heavyweight and then dropped it, and then I picked it up right away. It's just that in my head it's so easy if I only do 3 or 2, and then but once it goes to the floor I pick it up again, and then like I did gymnastics and broken. But for me it's so easy when like I'm so scared of many squats with heavy weight. It's not that super heavy, but it was heavy enough, and then it's okay, just drop it and pick it up again. So it's like basically the same as resting overhead. It's just that I drop it and then nice, let's go.
So it's interesting, you did the gymnastics unbroken, and then and you did quite well on the workout then, I guess, because
no, it was like okay. I think I could have gone faster, because the last set of bar muscle ups I was like, oh shit, I should have gone faster.
Well, it's just because last week I was speaking, we had Hannah Went on, who did very well in Hannah Went, so she's in the 16 and 17-year-old division, and she finished second in the UK, I think, in the open, but similar thing, broke up the thrusters but went unbroken on all the gymnastics, and that was sort of that helped her out. So I mean, there was no danger that I was going to go unbroken on anything anyway, so it's less of a decision. No,
but it's like it's not always unbroken which is the fastest. Like I'm a big splitter, especially when it comes to the barbell. I don't like to hold on to the barbell, but I still always do like okay on those workouts. It's just how fast you pick it up again. It's not that you necessarily drop it, because it's when you're standing and watching the bar, that's when the time goes away. It's not when you drop it from your head, because that's basically 1 second.
Yeah, it is that mental game though, isn't it, of like, oh, I have to pick this back up.
Yeah.
And no one's going to do it for me.
Again. It's like I really like to drop it and pick it up again, so I think that's like a good skill to have.
Yeah, they should program that in like workouts. Okay, what we need you to do is just keep dropping the bar and going and picking up straight away, and having minimal pauses between. So we've got a few people watching live, which is very nice. So we'll just say hello to Matt. Hi.
Hello.
Tops are dumb. So well, one day you'll be on the live show. So then you'll definitely make it. Let's see. Sarah Cooper, good morning. And Jeffrey says, hey, Athena. But I'm going to assume he's saying hey to everyone. So
mostly Athena.
Mostly.
He is. He's saying hi to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mostly Athena, but we'll get, like, by being just sort of adjacent to Athena, we'll get that extra high. How's it going with you, Athena? You've got some. Hold on a second, Barclays just. Athena has 2 wins in events with rowing. 2 wins in events
Andrea.
with strict hands and her I've read Athena first of all. I was like, what?
Wow.
2 wins in events with rowing, 2 wins in events with strict handstand push-ups, and her best finish with front squats is a 5th.
This is good information. I don't even know which workouts. This is is it wins? Is that in which kind of workouts? I don't know.
Well, Barkley will be updating us, no doubt.
Yeah.
So we need some more specifics on that. But this man has access to data that.
Fifth with front squat. I'm really excited to hear which one that one is, because I think front squat is like my second to least favorite workout. No exercise.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
Jeffrey has confirmed that the shore was the hay was for everyone, so that's very good. And Top said that I will keep my promise. Don't worry. I love the Welsh, so you'll be on the podcast. Don't worry. So Athena, how is your training going these days? Obviously, you've got an incredible team behind you at the moment.
I do. They're great.
So we've seen what one of them was able to do with someone like Jeff Adler, who was he, and now he's won the games. So we'll be looking forward to seeing you tackling the games in 2025. But before then,
pretty awesome. I can't get a handstand push-up yet, but we're on our way.
Yeah,
coming.
It's going great. So we're a couple weeks into kind of like the coaches transition. So there's 3 now, and it's interesting because it's so segmented. So it's very different. Each coach has, we're working on very specific things. So totally different conversations. It's cool. Never thought it would be this awesome, but it is. It's neat to have it kind of segmented.
So you split up like the weightlifting, the gymnastics?
Well, kind of. So one coach handles like Carolyn's bucket, for instance. Her bucket is kind of like the fuel. So like the nutrition, sleep, routines, all that kind of, it's kind of like all that day-to-day stuff. And then Gordon Lake is handling more of the mindset, just kind of the day-to-day, you wake up and you're not feeling motivated, or just kind of that day-to-day stuff that happens. And then obviously, for me, it's keeping faith, kind of that forward center, the driver for me. And then right now, Pete Shaw is handling, the movement part, and it's neat. Super, super cool.
Nice. When did you start?
Like 2.5 weeks ago, I think, already.
Oh, okay. So
yeah. I mean, it's been going on since January, but there was a change in coaches a couple weeks ago.
Okay, nice.
So it was good. Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was going to say I have questions about that, not specifically about that. Don't worry. Don't worry. There's no gotcha journalism on here.
I'm not afraid.
And then we will get back to Sarah Cooper's question about how you connected with Carolyn as well, because it'd be interesting to hear that. But I guess more my thoughts are behind kind of, obviously we've all got goals that we're working towards within the the CrossFit space, and they're obviously very Athena, your and my goal are probably very different from Andrea, who has sort of peak fitness goals of getting to the the games and things like that. We're just trying to kind of do a bit better by ourselves almost. But there's a degree of accountability, right? Because you put it out there. So I think for someone like Andrea, there's that, you've made it to semifinals. You were at the games when it was like the the online version.
Qualify.
Yeah, which is really annoying, isn't it? Like that's
Let's just fix it by going back.
Wow, that's I mean, there you go. Mindset, there you are.
Yeah.
So obviously, like, people can see that. So you probably have people being, especially people that want the best for you are going to be like, oh, come on, you made it. You were at semifinals last year and you were so close, and you the year before, and this is your year. You've got to, we're watching you train, and they're following you on Instagram or whatever. And then Athena, you've kind of been like really had, as you say, you've been doing this journey for a while anyway. But then, was it January then that you started with Hilla? Was that January? And obviously, as soon as you do something with Hilla, that shines a massive spotlight on what you're doing, and suddenly people are, taking note. And even now that you've moved on to, this team of 3 that are also already kind of, people take note of what they're doing in general because they are names within the CrossFit space, but then you're also kind of your own entity within the CrossFit space, and people are invested in following you, following along. I guess for both of you, me, occasionally I say things on this podcast that people might hear me go, and oh yeah, I'm going to try and get this goal. So it's much more low key for me. Don't worry. But you've got these like external sources kind of watching you as you're trying to progress towards your goals. And I just kind of wonder, is that fuel? Is that something that makes you anxious? Is it just something that you have to sort of disregard and just go ahead, without giving it too much thought? I mean, obviously they're sort of different for both of you, but I'd love to hear both of your opinions on this. So feel free, one of you, to kick off. I don't mind who. I'll let you be generous. There we go. I had a feeling.
Are you sure? Okay. Yeah. I think it can be both. So there's, I think, a part of it that's really exciting for the accountability piece. But then, there's downsides to that accountability piece, is that, all eyes are watching you all the time. And then, everybody loves to give their feedback every day. So there's that part of it. But, like, I knew me, and I knew that I probably wouldn't finish unless it was something drastic where it forces me to, it's a pressure in the best possible way.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
It's working.
It's good.
Yeah.
Do you have any fear? I mean, I don't want to be negative, but like, do you ever have like a fear of, oh, but what if I take some steps back? What if, I stumble a little bit and then I have to kind of, am I letting people down, or are they, am I concerned about how they view what I've done more than how I view what I've done? Does that make, I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. I think there's always that fear, but I think anytime that you're doing a journey like this, and I mean, it doesn't matter like what end of the spectrum, like Andrea's on this end of the spectrum and I'm here. I mean, it's not linear. I don't think for anybody, you're going to have sucky days. You're going to have days where you don't hit what you want to hit, or, there's times when the scale might go up for a day and then the next day it'll be back down again. But that's just what the body does, Am I afraid of that? Nah. Like, if you just know that it's going to happen and you expect it, then it's not a surprise when it does.
Yeah, nice.
It's like a Monday. I know that it can be bad.
Yeah.
It can also be good. It's just that, like, the waves go upwards.
Yeah.
There will be some downs, but as long as the line goes that way, that's my like motivation. Okay, it goes up and down, but like, if I started here and I end up here, it's like it doesn't matter how you get there, kind of.
Yeah. So. Do you think, and maybe this is just me sort of from the outside observing things a little bit, but I think it's funny how people's brains kind of justify one thing and then maybe don't realize that it's exactly the same on the other side. Because Athena, you mentioned like 2 ends of the spectrum, right?
Yeah.
So we quite often will look at an athlete and be like, okay, they've made it to the games, they've made it semifinals or whatever, and we're like, they're very, very strong, but their gymnastics is lacking a little bit, and so what do? We see them go away and they work on their gymnastics, and maybe they lose some of that top end strength, and it's sort of, again, this like up and down that we're saying, well, we can sort of see, obviously, if you're working on one thing, maybe you're losing another thing. We know it's not just a straight line. There's going to be these, and yet when it's like a weight loss journey, people don't realize that also that is this sort of wavy line, and there's going to be ups and downs. It's almost like, oh no, that should just be one directional. Like,
no,
but
it's
of course
identical.
It's not. Yeah,
it's identical. Like Andrea was saying, if you the day to day might look like this, but when you look at it from like a 3-month picture, then it's kind of a consistent down. You don't see And that's the part where people don't see. And I think that's what kind of makes this journey fun is that day to day. You don't see, the days that you're not doing so good or whatever, but it happens.
Yeah. I think because the other problem is it's not just spectators that see that. It's also people that are going for it themselves.
Yep.
And because, again, we talk about, Instagram just being a highlight reel and social media kind of just people putting out always kind of all the positives and the best things. And so they see what other people are doing and can sometimes think, oh, no, hold on, mine doesn't look like that. And then, well, if it doesn't look like that now, what's the point? And it sort of starts spiraling and getting worse and worse. So I think it is good, isn't it, that you can kind of openly be like, well, it's, it's still going down, but it's going down like this. Don't look at it day 1, day 2, day 3. Look at it month 1, month 2, month 3, and there you have that nice line. We just have a little update for you, Andrea. So Barclay has told us best front squat event was Southfit 2019 WOD free, which was 2159 bar muscle ups, single arm dumbbell, shoulder to overhead, 22.5 kilos. Thanks for putting it in kilograms for us, Barclay. We appreciate that. Athena doesn't, but we appreciate that. And front squats 65. This 60 is coming back in 65 kilograms.
I remember it. It was just 2 weeks after I qualified for the games.
Well, there you go.
But still, that 5th place in that competition was not so good for me. I remember I was really disappointed because I really love bar muscle ups and I love everything that goes overhead. So I think it must have been the front squat. The problem.
So we shouldn't have asked when you found out your 5th. What you should have just imagined it to be 100 front squats for time, and you came 5th. Wow.
5th place.
Your rowing wins were also at Southfit 2019 event 4 and UAE Storm Games 2024 event 4. Strict handstand push-up wins were Southfit 2019 event 5 and Bow Wormland 2020. You've been to a lot of events, Andrea. You seem to be traveling all over the place.
I've been doing CrossFit since 2015, so I'm an OG soon.
Nice. Great.
They call me that here in CrossFit Oslo.
They call you what? You're the OG in CrossFit Oslo?
Yeah, like in Norway especially.
I mean, that's pretty good because CrossFit Oslo have, like, I don't know what's going on in CrossFit Oslo at the moment, but you can't look at you can't look at a post coming out of CrossFit Oslo without just seeing, a bunch of incredibly fit people that are, smashing quarterfinals or the Open just gone.
Yeah, I think it's
make
fun
it to the games as a team. Oh, unbelievable.
Yeah, but like that, everything is growing so much in CrossFit Oslo. It's really fun because, like also for me, because I've been doing this for 2015 and like having progress after 8-9 years is something that you cannot take for granted because I had like 4 years where I didn't have any progress and the sport just like, I felt like the sport went away from me. So then it's really good because like the last year I've been really, like I've never been better than I am now. And then it's really fun to see that I can actually like upgrade my lifts and PR and really get better. Also when all the newcomers are coming to CrossFit Oslo and they're like so fast, and then it's like, okay, but I can still keep up. And that's really nice for me to see because I feel like we lift each other up. So you have me or some of the others who have been there for a long time who like, this is how we train smart and blah, blah, and this is smart to attack workouts. But then you also have the newer ones who are coming and put some fire in and like, they're not afraid, they're not thinking, they're just like, go, 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 go. Because sometimes you also need that, but sometimes you need to be smart. So I think the combination of what we have is really good. And it's like, we show each other how to work, and the combination turns out that everybody is like, we inspire each other by cheering for each other and trying to like help each other. Because when you have that many elite athletes at one gym, it can be really like competitive, and we always want to like destroy each other, but also like jealousy. I think that could be a really big problem, but I feel like that's what makes CrossFit also really successful now, is that we really try to cheer each other and lift each other up. Because, for example, Seher, if she does something that I want to do, I think for me it's better if oh wow, I really also want to do that. It's so cool that she can do that, instead of, oh, why can she do that instead of me? Then it's like that doesn't work. So it's like seeing that other people can do it makes me believe that, well, if they can do it, I can also do it. So I think
Nice.
that's like the good vibe we have now.
And do you think that's helped then, as you were saying, you sort of like plateaued for a couple of years almost, where you were kind of feeling like you weren't?
I wasn't
Do you
in
feel
Oslo.
that it's this environment that's helped you
I
to
wasn't
kind
in
of?
Oslo when that happened. Then I was in my hometown.
There you go.
So now
It's
I'm living
something-
here basically to be in that environment.
Yeah. So we're being told here by Topsdam that Oslo proves the training camps work in the sense that it's an environment in which people push each other and thrive. I think it can.
How many competitive athletes are at Oslo?
I actually don't know, but it's many. But some people come and go, and some people stay there permanently. But right now, when it's team quarterfinals, it's we have 8 teams only. Like, so that's 8 times 4, and then you have some individuals going next week. But not all the competitors who are here this week are all like in CrossFit Oslo every day. But somewhere between 10 to 20 every day, I think. And then now it's a lot.
Have you been to Norway, Athena?
Never.
You should come.
Sounds pretty though.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, maybe that'll be the next stage in your in your journey. Will be
maybe
we have a lot of mountains, which is really beautiful to climb. Not here in Oslo, but where I'm from, in the West Coast and also in the North, it's like really nice mountains, and that's how like I build my engine when I started CrossFit, is running up the mountains. So that's really nice. You always have the view as a reward.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I don't know if I could appreciate the view after running up the mountain. I think I'm
you
looking at the floor or lying on the floor.
It helps a lot.
Oh, Jeff is shooting off. Prepare. Oh, the eclipse. Yeah, 22,000 students all view. So he said, "Hope you have a great show. Got to run. Prepare for the eclipse. 2,200 students all viewing at the same time. That's going to be mad, isn't it?" I looked up today the eclipse because there was a message popped up on my phone that was saying like, "Oh, in parts of the UK you'll be able to view the eclipse like partially," and there's sort of a map where it's like sliced down through the kind of coming across the UK. And it literally ends just before it gets to where we are. And like, you're not gonna be able to see anything. I was like,
oh no.
Well, there we go. And I'm guessing you're not gonna be able to see anything in Norway.
No, it's cloudy now, so I guess I won't see anything.
I won't see anything anyway. Yeah.
No.
But you'll be able to see it, Athena, where you are, right?
I was just looking out the window. I'm like, am I gonna be able to? It's cloudy here too.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. So when it's cloudy and dark, then you'll know it's the eclipse. Yeah, maybe you have to ask Jeffrey if it's what's happening. When's it happening? Okay, very good. So I think you've not been to Norway. See, I haven't been to Norway either. My mum's been to Norway multiple times now, which and I realized I should have asked. So and this is always hard for me to explain. So my mother remarried. So her husband, who the simple thing is say, "Oh, your stepdad," but I was married with my son, I think, but no, maybe not with my son, maybe just married before my mum remarried. So it's quite strange to be like anyway, but very much a grandfather to my kids, so that's nice. But he is a English Norwegian translator.
Nice.
Professionally, that's what he does. So he's gone over to Norway, hundreds of times himself, and then since
he doesn't have any roots from Norway, he just wanted to
he learned the language, and then he's very like analytically minded towards languages in general.
Okay.
And so he does a lot of like technical manuals and things like that because he's very very precise with translations. But they've gone over obviously so that he can practice speaking and things like that in general, so he keeps it up kind of thing. So they go quite often. So I know she's been all over Norway. And then I was thinking, why didn't I ask for any phrases or anything I could have said when you came on the podcast?
Yeah, that's true.
I should have done that.
It's a hard language though, I think, if you're not like from the Scandinavian countries. I think it's hard to.
Yeah, well, we've had a surprising amount of language chat on this show over the last so many episodes. Yeah, because we had John Singleton on the other day, and we were talking about Chinese and Spanish, and then I lived in Italy for 10 years, so learned Italian, and then my wife's from the Philippines, so we've learned Tagalog. So there's all kind of there's a lot of language stuff going on around here. Don't worry about that. But but I'm sure I would struggle anyway with
No,
Norwegian
you'll be
because
fine.
because I'm not great at languages, despite the kind of impression I give off. I was going to say that I think you've not made it all the way to Norway, but neither have I. But have you been to Europe much?
I was in Europe once. So I went to Amsterdam, was there for a couple days, and then spent most of the time in Spain. So we went to Madrid and then kind of made our way around, to like Barcelona. Where else did we go on that trip? We went to Monaco.
Nice.
And then came home. But that was the only time I've ever been over there.
So you've never made it to England?
No.
No.
No, not yet.
Not yet, because I know you're
Not
coming.
yet.
I know you're coming.
Yes.
When are you coming?
Well, we were going to be there in May, but just one thing after another. So we pushed it to July. So this is kind of the surprise. we're going to be there in July.
So you're doing a seminar. Is it in the same location?
It'll be in the same location. Yeah, it'll be in Leeds.
In Leeds, yeah. Okay. Are you? All right. Hold on. Anyone listening from Leeds, just turn the volume down a little bit. Are you visiting anywhere else while you're here, or are you just going to be in Leeds?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I want to be able to travel around and take a couple days, and I'd love to go down and see the Isle of Man. Love to hop over to Ireland and see some of that too.
Oh wow, yeah.
You're only going to England, right? Like you're not going to Europe, kind of like.
Yeah.
No.
Just the UK.
Yeah, but that's enough. If you go there and just Ireland, you will have a lot to see, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's gonna be cool.
I think it's funny because we always find it fascinating when Americans travel to Europe, because they do these like crazy journeys.
Yeah.
Sort of be like, oh, we have a day here and a day. So I used to work in Venice in a hotel, so I would have Americans coming in a lot, and it was like, oh, this is the stop, and then we're and if you were telling me and then we're off to Rome, I'm already like, that's considered quite a big kind of trip within Italy to go from Venice to Rome. But then we're like, oh, and then we're in Spain, and then we're going over to France, and then we're going to be in England for 2 days, and you're like, why? Yeah. But obviously, just geographically, like the size of America and the way people kind of view travel is different.
Yeah.
But we always used to kind of wonder, how much can you see in?
Yeah. I never thought of that, but you're probably right. Like we'll hop states to states to states. It's just kind of the way that we travel.
Yeah.
Never thought of that before, but yeah. Is that something that you see with Americans a lot, Jason?
Well, because this is a funny thing. Like Venice is a really small island. Like you can, quite easily walk from one side of Venice to the other, but it's compact. Like it's full of stuff. Yeah. And you will have people that are coming back like year on year, seeing that because they want to see everything, and they're going and checking all the different, palaces and big villas and, museums and this and that. And so they'll have been there for like a week and still not feel like they've seen everything. And then you'll have an American run around with a camera, snap, 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 and then it's like, Venice, tick,
done,
and on our way. So I don't know, but I'm not. Who am I to speak on behalf of all?
But I think so. Like that's why I was asking. Also, it's like, are you going more places? Because I feel like when Americans come to Europe, they're like, oh, we're gonna see all these countries, and like, so yeah. You will have more time to like experience where you are if you stay in one country.
Yeah, you'll get to take in all of Leeds.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've heard lots of good things about it, but you probably know better than I do. People say it's nice.
No,
I've never been there, so I don't know.
It is. I don't want to be, I'm just being a bit silly, really. But it's not. Well, to be honest, I kind of prefer if people come to England and don't go to London, and they go somewhere else, because London for me was the de facto answer for the 10 years I was in Italy. So it would be like, oh, where are you from? Oh, I'm from England. Oh, London. No,
yeah.
No, not London. And then, people, I'm going to England. Oh, where are you going? London. It's like,
Yes.
okay. Like, you do know there's other places you can go to that are, different, and there's other stuff to see. And especially when you think about like how, one thing people know about England, it rains a lot. But that does mean we've got lots of nice green, kind of beautiful places to visit, like out in
The same
nature.
here.
And yet, let's go to London. And you're just like,
Yeah.
I grew
There's
up
no
in the New
nature.
Forest.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, I'm from the South Coast, go down the
Yeah.
coastline, you have the forest, there's all
Oh,
this
that
nice
is
stuff to
nice.
see.
Yeah.
People from Leeds say it's nice. That is true. Will you
That
make it
almost-
over to Wales? That's another I said it rains a lot in England. Wales, it rains even more.
I'm from the Pacific Northwest. It sounds like the same weather, like it rains 360 days of the year.
Yeah.
Barkley, come on.
We have the same from my hometown. It's also like the West Coast.
Yeah,
it's raining all the time.
Well, that's been weather chat on Plate Stack Chat. So
yeah.
But so what's happening at the seminar though? So you're coming over. Is it 1 day, 2 days?
It's a 1 day. It's a 1 day right now. There's times that we've thought about expanding that out and making it a 2 day, but I think that the differentiator between our seminar and probably some of the other ones is what takes up a lot of time is the workouts. And I remember when I went to the adaptive course, for instance, they had several workouts in that one, and those workouts were very purposeful and meaningful. Whereas having workouts in ours wouldn't make more sense. It's a different kind of course because you're not going to get anything out of a workout unless everybody's strapped with a 100-pound weight vest, So it's more classroom type of learning in our seminar. So 8 hours is a lot for that type of, setting. So for now, it's 1 day.
Nice, yeah.
But it's a busy day though.
Yeah, but I also think though, I was thinking about this recently with like a lot of stuff because I'm guessing is it Saturday or Sunday that you're running it?
Leeds will be on a Sunday.
On a Sunday, yeah.
Yeah.
Because like this is the thing, isn't it? It's like, I don't know about other people, but weekends are precious to me. Like it's like I need my weekends, especially with kids that are at school Monday to Friday. Like weekends are very valuable, and just everything is on the weekend, and the number of things that are also across the whole weekend. So it's not even like I can say, look, I'll be there on Saturday, but on Sunday I'm back home and I'm here for the family and I'll help. It's like, no. You're away Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's the whole weekend and then Monday back to school kids. And it's sort of so I think sometimes if it doesn't need to be spread out across the weekend, having it all in 1 day just makes it a little bit more accessible for people that are like, good, I can go up, I can do that. And I can also still do, all the other things I need to do in life that also are a priority as well.
That's been a big piece of feedback for us too, is that they like the fact that it's 1 day. It's a lot, to cram into 1 day. So, but people are like, oh, I could do it all in 1 day and then be back home.
Yeah.
Because we usually do them on Saturdays and then they can travel back on Sunday and then they're back for the start of the week. So
yeah,
works good.
Okay. Yeah. But I think that's a good, I think obviously, some of these seminars where it's a lot of like, I don't want to say like team building, but it's that kind of mutual suffering when you go through workouts together.
Yeah.
There's always kind of like, and then we did a workout and then we did it. And then there was another workout in the afternoon. And it's like, but you're right. Like for the, the specificity of what you're doing, you can do a workout because you're all mad and you love CrossFit and you want to do, you can't possibly go 24 hours without doing a workout. That's fine. But it's not necessarily, for the benefit of then what we're teaching at the seminar. So yeah,
it's a question that comes up a lot. People are like, hey, are you doing a couple workouts? I'm like, not here. And they're like, really? And I'm like, it's not adding as much value as you think, other than, sure, team building. We all love workouts, right? We're CrossFitters, but not for this particular course.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Have you got, so I was just going to flash back to Oslo for a second, because we obviously know like Oslo is very competitive as a box and has all these incredible teams and incredible individual athletes. Is there also like, do you have much beyond, like, is there, do you have many kind of much older athletes that are coming along, or those that are, larger bodies or adaptive athletes, things like that as well, or is it more focused on, or
No,
not
the thing
necessarily
is,
focused, but you know what I
no,
mean? Like,
I get what you mean. The thing is that people believe that, like at CrossFit Oslo, it's like, yeah, you are at the perfect place for to be a competitor, blah blah. And we are, like, I really appreciate. We have so much space, and we have all these opportunities, and we have like coaches there every day who are with us like live every day. So it's really good. But at the same time, it's also a normal affiliate. It's like it's classes all the time. We have to adjust. So we know this and this and this time you can stay in the big room, but you have to be done at 5 minutes before 10, because then you have to move down to another room, because then there's a class upstairs, and then when it's 11 there's mamas and papas, and then we have to change room again. So it's really like we are really like adjusting to the everyday CrossFit box. So the main member mass is from the everyday people. So that's what's really good with CrossFit Oslo, because it's also just a normal box, and we are kind of few, but we are the face of the box. But if you go inside the box on an average day, it's like you will see everything. We have like senior group, we have mamas and papas, and you have all the normal classes. So yeah, it can be like you probably think it's more a competitive box because that's what you see. But if you are there every day, you will recognize that we have everything. So that's really good.
Well, I don't think it would survive as just a competitive box.
No,
Would it? That's the problem. Like,
Yeah.
And I know that Norway, very expensive.
Yeah, and we only have 3 eco bikes. And then people are like, oh, what the fuck? You are like creating a lot of games athletes, and you only have 3 eco bikes. Yes, because that's not what we're prioritizing, because they don't use eco bikes in classes, and then we don't have more eco bikes. So
yeah.
And if you ruin a bike, it's like, okay, then it's broken.
Yeah. That's why you're so competitive. It's like the fight to get the eco bike. That's what. That's part of the workout.
It takes some logistic with the rooms and the equipment. Like if we don't have enough equipment, and then like most of the competitors are using the Krieger programming from Kristin Holte, and then if everybody has Krieger or Krieger, you might say, and it's eco bike that day, it's like, oh wow, how should we like logistically figure this out? And we have like maybe 2 GHD in the main floor, and then we have 1 GHD in the other room, and then if it's also GHD in a workout, it's like we have to conga line, and it's like, but we're getting good at it. Like 1 year ago, I was much more stressed about I'm having this workout, but everybody is using the equipment. What should I do? Blah blah blah. But now it's like we all are like good at planning. Okay, if I just do that, this is how my workouts are, and then we figure it out. So I like it.
Yeah. See, the equipment thing is, like, for me, one of the biggest selling points of going to the CrossFit box and doing the classes is that I don't have to worry about equipment, because and even, well, like today with the row, we have eco bikes. We had assault bikes for ages, and then when they had Fit Fest, we ended up getting a load of the eco bikes from Fit Fest. So now we have the eco bikes. And but because I went in the morning, it's a much smaller class. So even though there were rowers and eco bikes out, everyone could row, which was great. But I remember like so I always struggle to get in to the box in December a lot because of like school holidays, and then kind of all the holiday opening times and things like that. So I just took like a 24-hour gym membership to be able to go and do some training when I couldn't get, because I was still working my normal hours. But when I'd finish work, and I'd normally go in at 8 p.m. Well, the box is already closed because they were only doing like some morning classes that day. And going in and having to like get equipment, and there's people there, and you're all doing different things. Oh, it is. I hate it.
If you try to do like a CrossFit workout, people don't understand that you're going back and forth to that equipment what you're using, and then it's like, oh, but I'm using it. You cannot just take it because I'm
like
coming
carry
to use
your
it.
kettlebell with you to the rower, just and put it next to the rower as you're rowing, and then carry it back over to where you're allowed to swing a kettlebell, just to make sure nobody steals it and puts it away.
Oh, wow.
I'm with TRD on that one. I was like, 3? You have that many competitive athletes in that box, and you have 3? That's impressive, actually. That's impressive.
We had 2, but before semis last year, there was like people. We were like Like there was so much fight about
Holy
the
cow,
echo
I
bikes.
can
Then
imagine.
we got one more from the other box, because like CrossFit Oslo is a part of a big group called Functional Group, which owns a lot of the boxes in Norway. And there are more of them in Oslo, and then one gym, like they were renovating and stuff, and then we got one echo bike from them. So that 3 is a lot more than 2, because then if 2 people are doing the same workout and they both have echo bikes, there's still one more echo bike.
Are they just harder to get a hold of in Europe? Is that what it is?
No, it's just they don't prioritize it, and I totally get it, because we have 3 and we are managed to split them. So
yeah. Do you have assault bikes as well?
No,
you didn't have those, because I know, like, for us that was like, I think that's why it took ages for them to get them at CrossFit Bath, was because like they had the assault bike, so it was like, well, you've got that, and we had C2 bikes as well, so you're kind of like, we got those bikes, you've got these bikes. Like, just because now kind of CrossFit's decided to go with the Rogue echo bike instead, it doesn't mean that's, what are we meant to do with all this equipment that we've already got? And then obviously over time, things get older anyway, and then there was, I guess, this opportunity to get some.
I think it's just broken.
So now we have kind of a mix. We've still got assault bikes as well, so there's sort of a mix, and it means you have to kind of, at times, like, if it's one that's going to be particularly cardio heavy, or maybe you're changing a cardio equipment within the workout, and if it's like a class of 30, you'll see written on the board, it'll be like row, X number of calories. If you're on the C2 bike, it's this many calories. If you're on the ski erg, it's going to be this many. If you're on the assault bike, it's this many. If you're on the echo bike, it's and I'm always just like, it's,
but it works out. Yeah.
Okay. I was going to go back to another question though, because obviously I'm curious, with the like general population that are, we could say, the majority that go to Oslo, but you were sort of saying, at least outside of Norway, you guys are very much the face of CrossFit Oslo for like people like me. Is there any kind of like intimidation factor for people that are maybe like, oh, I'd quite like to, I'd like to give this CrossFit thing okay, they're in Oslo and they've seen Athena posting up her stuff that she's doing, and they're like, well, look what she's doing with CrossFit. That looks incredible. I'm inspired. I also want to follow in Athena's footsteps and like give CrossFit a go and see if it can help me. But I live in Norway. I live in Oslo. Let me look up, CrossFit Oslo. And then I start seeing, all these athletes that are, going to semis and stuff like that. So they're, certain level of athlete. Do you ever feel there is like oh, okay, maybe I'm wrong, maybe CrossFit's not for me? Or are people very good at understanding, or I guess even, if they make it into the box and get to talk to a coach, they're probably very good at explaining how it's infinitely scalable and they can be adjusted to their But I just wondered, in your experience personally, have you noticed sort of people that are like, come in, look at you and go, oh, I couldn't do that, and then turn away? Or is it more inspirational of like, oh wow, look what they're able to do, imagine what, perhaps I'll be able to do something close to that one day?
Well, I hope it's only the last, but I think it's both. There are many people at CrossFit Oslo every day, so I really have, and I'm really like this when I'm training, I'm only seeing what I'm doing, so I don't like notice that much what other people are doing. So I wouldn't recognize if somebody went in and turned out, because we have 3 different rooms where we're training, but there's like, first you come into reception, so you don't actually see who is coming in when you are training. But I know that some people are intimidated, and we want to just be inspiring, but we take up a lot of space because we're competitors. So that's just how it is. But I also believe that we are inspiring a lot of people. But we have rules to not we cannot work out without a t-shirt and stuff, which is also for hygiene, but it's also not to people to be like, whoa, when they come in. It's like, that can be intimidating if you have never seen CrossFit or know what CrossFit is. So I feel like if people come into CrossFit Oslo and they go directly to a class, you don't notice it that much. Like, you won't notice us that much. But if you come earlier and we are training before the class starts, you might see that, but then I hope that they are inspired instead. Because it's cool what we're doing. So that's what I hope. But I think for some people it can be intimidating, but we're trying to like don't be like people to be scared.
Yeah.
And there are also a lot of boxes in Oslo, and some of the boxes are like I said, in the same group, so it's like you don't have to go to CrossFit Oslo.
Yeah, no, of course. I just, you know, it might just be the closest one. And so you're like, oh, that's, you know, I just happened to, because I think, you know, that's an interesting point you're saying, like, if no one's ever experienced it, because I think once you've been in CrossFit for a long time and you, especially if you're watching the games and things like that, you're kind of used to, and I would say particularly with the women, because, you know, it's not as unusual to see men that are, you know, quite ripped and sort of, you know, the kind of, you know, you think back to like your Stallones and Schwarzeneggers, you know, even, you know, 80s and 90s growing up, you'll be quite used to that. Not so much that like when you look at the kind of the women in the games field, but like for me, that's so normal. It's just so normal to see people like that and not have a second take, not give it a thought beyond kind of, oh, that's so and so. Like I don't then go, oh, and look at, and I remember a kind of a friend in Bath, just in the city of Bath, that I knew, you know, that I found out knew a friend that went to CrossFit Bath. And so I was like, oh, kind of, we had this mutual acquaintance. And then one day she was saying something to me about the way like she looked and like was so sort of, oh, so, you know, she's changed so much over the years and she looks so different now. And I was kind of like, yeah, I guess like I hadn't, you know, beyond me maybe complimenting her, saying, wow, you're looking really, you know, how do I get arms like that? I haven't, you know, I don't make those kind of connections just because we're so
used to it.
So used to it. But you're absolutely right. Somebody that's not stepped foot in a CrossFit box before or never put the games on.
Yeah, I think that really helps for CrossFit Oslo when we are that many elite athletes, that we look like at least a little normal when you arrive. So yeah, we do, like, we lift heavy stuff and we can make some sound and we can have some high music, but at least not 15 people are standing there in just a small shorts and a sports bra and looking really strong, because then I think people would be like, okay, this is not a place for me. But now I feel like you come in and you also see the mamas and papas class. You see everything. So you see the good mix, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, because I think naturally our eye is always drawn to like the most extreme thing. Because there was a period of time when CrossFit Bath had moved to, you know, another location that got a little bit more foot traffic coming past, and sometimes you'd be in a class and you'd see kind of people just put their head around the door to see what's going on, and you know, like you're looking at the person doing muscle ups, or you're looking at the person doing the toes to bar or something, and you're not looking at, you know, the person who's doing knee raises or the person that's doing kind of, you know, jumping pull-ups or whatever it may be. You just automatically they're like, go to the, you know, the most RX movement and be like, oh, not for me. And you're like, well, actually just have a little look around the room and see how people are adapting this, and it is for you.
And that's what I see when I go to CrossFit Oslo, but that's probably because I'm like, I don't get super impressed with people are doing muscle ups. So when I go into the room, I see like, whoa, this is a lot of people doing fitness and they're all adjusting it to their level. And I think that is really cool when you walk into a room and you see like everybody's doing their best, but they're still doing like so many different things. And that's what I see when I go into a room. So I hope that's what other people also see.
Yeah. What's your take on all this, Athena? Like, have you?
Well, one thing that I wanted to ask you, Jason, was, do you remember your first day in CrossFit?
Yeah, I do.
Was it intimidating for you?
Well, so I got into CrossFit in a strange way, in that it wasn't me that signed us up for CrossFit.
Okay.
And this is always why I also find this question interesting, because with like the intimidation factor and things like that, and you know, does the games turn people away from doing CrossFit? So you know, we'd lived in Italy for some years, we'd moved back to England, and you know, we'd had our son, we hadn't yet had our daughter, but so, you know, my wife went from someone who used to cycle everywhere, you know, work very, you know, always on her feet, always moving, to then, you know, having a baby and everything that does to your body, and just sort of slowing down, and you know, we got to a period where she wasn't super happy with, you know, how she was now compared to how she used to be. And it was approaching our anniversary, and I said, look, you can pick like anything you want. So, Zumba or, whatever. I can't think of the other fitness things that were kind of faddy at the time, but, it was like, you just pick, a gym membership or, an aerobics class or whatever it is you want to do, pick it and I'll pay for a year. And like, that will be my anniversary gift to you this year. So you choose what you want. So she did like a bit of digging and she found CrossFit Bath. And then we watched some of the, what was available from like the games and stuff. This was like 8-9 years ago. So it was like, what was there? So we watched some of that stuff and it did not dissuade her, even though there's no way she could do those movements. She still can't do a lot of that stuff now. Because since then we've also had a second child. So that's, interrupted things in the middle of this. But she watched all of it. And so she contacted CrossFit Bath, but she didn't want to go on her own to do the kind of the drop in, the intro, the first thing. So we went together, and the only day that we could go together and have someone come and look after our son, who was only sort of 2 at the time, was on our anniversary itself. So on my wedding anniversary, my mum came up and stayed with our son. We went in the morning to CrossFit Bath, where we met Ollie Mansbridge, who's now the European manager for CrossFit. So someone very all in on CrossFit, who and when I went, and I don't know if I've ever told Ollie this, but when I went, there was no intention for me to join. I was just there to help, ease her in, and she was going to do it, and I was, I don't know what I was going to do, but and then they like the intro, they were talking about like the onboarding and the intro class, and again we had this 2-year-old at home, so I'd sort of said, well, it's going to be really hard for us to. Oh, he might have been 3 at the time. It would be very hard for us to come in those 2 evenings a week together because someone needs to be with our son. And so he's a very good salesman as well, this Mr. Mansbridge. So he kind of basically was pitching it like, well, what we could do is we could do like the one-on-one intro course, but you guys could do it together. And so, you'll save some money, you'll both be able to do it, and you can do it. You can book in to come in at the time that's convenient for you. So we could do it. He was at like a nursery school for a few hours in the week. So we could kind of link it up to that time. I've not stopped since then. So it's that's how we came in. And I don't know if it was like it was, if anything, it was more impressive seeing what my wife could do. I'd never seen her kind of, I'd never seen her use a barbell. I'd never seen her swing a kettlebell before, stuff like that. So that was interesting. That was, and there are, some pretty good athletes in the box. Well, one of the coaches at the time was Bex Hall, who, a lot of the coaches, they'd all been to kind of regionals in the past and things like that. It was that sort of area. And she was heavily pregnant at the time. And I remember watching this, heavily pregnant woman just absolutely destroy me on workouts. I'm just thinking, what is this? Like, how can a pregnant woman be that fit? That's not possible. Like, you're thinking of what you're used to sort of seeing and experiencing and that kind of thing. I was like, this is madness. So that was sort of my introduction to CrossFit.
Sounds like you were more attracted to what they could do instead of being intimidated.
Yeah, even though what's funny as well is that I mean, it is funny as well, and it was revealed last week when John Young was asking me some sports-based questions and I had no answers. I don't follow any sports like outside of CrossFit. I could not care less. And growing up, I never cared about like any other sport. I played sport at school. I use sports socially. So like, yes, I would, kick a ball around with friends and stuff because that was sort of all there was to do. But I don't watch football. I don't watch tennis. I don't watch cricket, like rugby, anything. Do not care. My brother, polar opposite, follow every sport, knows who everybody is, loves all that. I did not care. Once I went in on CrossFit, it was like all in, watching the games, knowing who everybody is, making YouTube videos about the sport and what's going on in CrossFit, having a show where I can talk to athletes and other people within the world of CrossFit. so it's it's been an interesting journey over the last 8 or so years. Yes,
it's nice because yes, it's a sport, but it's also not a sport, if that makes sense, because it is for everybody.
yeah.
So
I mean,
that's what I think is cool.
and if I have to make, so my kind of rule for myself, which is really hard to balance at the moment, is like this cannot replace me actually training.
No.
So if it gets to the point where like making videos and having these conversations and things like that is taking up so much time that I cannot get into the box and train, then it stops.
Yeah.
And I go, because the priority for me will
Mm.
always be doing it myself. Even though I'm, never going to the games, I'm never going for anything, that doesn't matter.
No.
The priority is, this is the thing I do to de-stress, is the thing I do to keep myself healthy. Like I notice if I don't do it. So like when we had our daughter, and actually for both the pregnancies, my wife suffered like tremendously with like morning sickness, but for the whole day and for the whole pregnancy. So during the kind of that period, she could not train at all. She went twice in the whole time she was pregnant to try and do something, and she just couldn't. She was so sick. And then obviously when we had the baby, she stopped for a little bit because we had this newborn, and I felt really guilty, like coming to the box, because obviously she would have liked to have done it, but she couldn't do it. And she's like, you have to go. You have to go. You are a better person when you go and train. You're better to be around, especially with a newborn in the house. You're on edge all the time. So for me, it's absolutely, it's all of ticking all of those boxes first and foremost. And
but
then I like the sports side.
It is like the everyday, because for me it's also when you have the highlights, when you do well in the competition and all that stuff. But also, like for example, I did well at Dubai Fitness Championship before Christmas, and I really remember that as a cool weekend. But what I remember mostly is the lead up to Dubai. All the training sessions. I was home with my family and my friends, not in Oslo, and it was like that was a really good period. So it's like it is the everyday also for us athletes. It's not like the highlight. It's what you enjoy to do every day, and that's what I like with CrossFit. It's that this is what I enjoy to do every day. So it's good for all of us, like the whole you, the head and the body and everything.
So that was how you managed to divert the answering my question, Athena, was throwing it back on me. So I've answered how my first experience was at CrossFit.
No, I was curious because, like in all the time that I've been in CrossFit, I don't know if I've ever talked to a single person that didn't say, yeah, I was a little nervous that first day.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody's like always nervous. Maybe a little anxious or not know what to expect.
I think I was
exactly.
Nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I was. I don't think I was nervous, because I probably just. I think as well, because I'm also like the least competitive person, so there was no kind of, oh, I need to make sure I'm crushing this workout or so. And I was going with my wife and to support my wife, so it was like I had just a different mentality going in. I think I've been nervous since then for other, like in the box for different reasons, or or I mean, even like the Open, I don't think I get nervous before the Open. I get more just annoyed that I have to do the Open. Is probably a better way of looking at it. But yeah, I don't know. I think my wife was obviously nervous because she made me come along. So I guess that sort of, she was nervous for both of us.
You didn't have any expectations, maybe.
No. I mean, and also because I wasn't signing up.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like you didn't expect
I wasn't falling into this cult.
Yeah.
I was. Yeah. And then it turns out, let's see, Top to down has. My first experience, it was more about stepping into a community of people who obviously knew one another and had good relationships, and feeling like I was invading their space. Ooh.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
I think
she's saying, wonder if having his wife there, he had different focus. Yeah, I think so. I think you're right, Judy. I think that's an interesting point though about like invading the space, because so I train a lot at 8 o'clock in the evening. That just family, kids. That's the time when I kind of dad duty's done, and now I'm free to go and train. And for a long time, the intro class was also at 8 o'clock, which meant that people would like do the intro class, and then when they fit, you know, they would be like over the other side of the gym doing that. And then when it was sort of time for them to start coming in, sometimes they would just like kind of come in at 8 initially, because one, they knew the class was quite small because they would have seen it, and also they just kind of got into that habit of coming in at that time. And what you would find is they'd start training at 8, and then after a little while they would move on to, you know, 5 o'clock because that was the time that actually was good for them, or they'd train at 6 or 7 a.m. because that was good for them. But it meant we were used to having new people coming in all the time. So we got very good at kind of bringing them in straight away and welcoming them in, and like, you know, partnering up with these people for the warm-ups and stuff, because it was sort of normal for us to have them. And I think that was a really good thing that kind of just happened very naturally because of, and also because I think that the 8 o'clock crew, we're very, you know, it's 8 o'clock. You're lucky we're here. We're not here to win the workouts. We're just like, guys, we've made it.
I would never be there 8 o'clock.
You should come along. Come down, fly over to England, come to Bath. We'll do an 8 p.m. together.
I'm on my way to bed at that time. Almost.
Yeah. Well, then I just come home and I go to bed. That's the thing.
Impressive though that you can sleep after a CrossFit workout.
I'm very tired after a CrossFit workout.
Yeah. I'm here.
I'm very tired now, and I did the workout at 9:30 this morning, and I still feel tired.
Wow. How are you, Athena? Can you train late and then go to bed, or are you like me?
I can do either, but I prefer the morning.
Yeah.
Because I find that if I do it in the morning, then I won't. It's easier to do it in the morning. If it gets later in the day, that's when my body and brain start getting tired from work and all that other stuff. And it's so easy for me to be like, oh, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So I just found that I get into that 5 a.m. habit, then I'll always usually get it done.
Yeah, that's nice.
But you know what? You said something really interesting, Jason, a second ago about like, you said that you weren't nervous on that first day because you weren't really that competitive. You know, like the eyes that I saw it from, and like, it's one of the reasons that we have this seminar is a lot of people don't come in necessarily looking at it from the perspective of, oh, I'm not really competitive. It's really like they're looking at it in, can I even do any of that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what makes them nervous. You know, I'm not going to be able to do something like a push-up or a sit-up, or, you know, even the movements. I think a lot of the more, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe like, you know, maybe people that do come from a sports background, or they did sports growing up, or, you know, they see that differently.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely didn't have like those. So while I didn't really do sports, I've just always been very, you know, just, I mean, like I said, I lived in Venice for a while, and you just walk everywhere and it's all steps, you know, like, so I've always been kind of, and I remember like having conversations with people even recently about like getting a pull-up, you know, and they're like saying, oh, how'd you get a pull-up? And I'm like, to be absolutely honest, like, I can't help you get a pull-up because I don't know what it's like to not be able to do a pull-up. Like I could do them when I was a kid, you know, as most kids can, kind of, you know, my son can do pull-ups. He can swing on the monkey bars and stuff like that because it's just from playing, right? And climbing trees and things like that. So same, I could do them, and they just never went away. So like when we went to do our kind of intro thing, we were like, oh, can you do a pull-up? Yeah, knock out a few pull-ups, because, and again, I'm small and light, so it's not that hard. And then I remember like we had to do a box jump. So, you know, they put the box on the 20-inch, you know, the lowest setting, if we can call it that, for a box jump on that, like, no problem. And he's like, oh, we'll put it on the other side, jump on that, no problem. He's like, oh, I mean, do you want to try 32? It's jumping on a box. It's jumping on a box. Like, that's not. And so, yeah, just jumped up and did that. And then he's like, well, most people don't do that on their first time. I was like, well, like, it's not. Don't ask me to snatch, because that's a technical Olympic lifting movement, and I've got no idea what I'm doing. I can jump on something. I'm used to jumping, you know, I'll jump on a wall, I'll jump on a bench. Like, it's just those kind of movements. I guess and given the nature of CrossFit being kind of functional, I think all the sort of functional stuff I could just kind of do. But it was then the, you know, the Olympic lifting and then the more high skilled gymnastics and things like that that I was like, oh, okay, this is tricky. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's something. Who knows?
That's
Oh,
interesting to hear that. You know, like coming in from it the way that I did.
yeah.
You know, we talk about, oh, everybody should just be able to do functional. Like I'm learning how to do functional movements. Like I never would have looked at a box jump that way. Never would have looked at I never did.
No.
You know, it's like learning how to do all these functional movements for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, you know, going back to like what Andrea was saying about like Oslo, all the different people. I mean, that's the amazing thing, isn't it? You go in and you've just got a mix of people, but we're also very good at just having, I mean, and people in general are very good at looking at their experience as being the experience of life. And you're like, well, but I think then, you know, I was, as again, going back to, I was there with my wife and she couldn't just jump up and do a pull up and she couldn't, you know, just kick up against the wall and do a handstand and things like that. And so I know that that's not like, it isn't the default for everyone. And then you kind of even try to, you know, like, you can do pull-ups, you can do box jumps and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm very light. You know, it's, you kind of, you already not excuse it, but you're sort of like, well, of course, you know, for me, I've only got to pull up, you know, 62 or probably when I started was probably weighed about 63, 64 kilos back then. So it's like, that's all I need to pull up. Whereas you know, you weigh 80, 90. So of course it's harder for you than me. And then somebody who's, you know, over 100 kilos, then it's going to be even harder again, sort of. So it makes, like, in my brain, it makes sense.
Yeah, that's what makes it so cool, though, is you are going to go in there and you're going to have people from this end all the way up to this end.
Yeah, but then that's what I love also about CrossFit workouts is that there's always, like, I mean, the workout that I did today, like for me, the 60 kilo, you know, front squats are heavy. Like I there's no way around it. They are heavy for me. I can do them, but it's not pleasant. And there's going to be other guys there that are like, these are, you know, like relatively light front squats, and they're going to just pick up that bar and they'll be doing their set of 10 or 15 or however they've decided to partition it, no problem. But then we kick up against the wall.
Yeah.
And now, you know, now we're in my playground and I can knock out the strict handstand push-ups unbroken, and they're struggling because they're having to push up 20 kilos more than me. So it's sort of, you know, it's this great leveler. But still, then there was the row, so they probably had the advantage there as well. So I said this to actually someone at the box today. I was like, well, I was just looking forward to the, you know, I was just trying to play to my strengths, but my strength was 1 out of 3 movements, which meant 2 of them were my weakness. So in the end, but no excuses.
But anyway. It's cool though. That CrossFit is like so. This is my strength, and that you can always like find a way to challenge people, even no matter which level they're at. So it's like people, I always like to bring people who are not athletes to join or not necessarily not athletes, but not at the same level to my workouts. And they're like, no, but I cannot train with you, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't care how you do the workout or what reps or what weights or what movement you are doing. I just want you to work hard next to me. Like, that's what matters to me. Like, it's actually, for me, it's even better if you don't do the same as me, because then I cannot care about how far you have come or blah, blah. I just want you to work with what you have next to me. So that's like, I try to see that everybody can work out with me. It's like we find a movement that you can do. If you can't walk on your hands, we find another movement. If you want to do push up with your knees, like, I don't care. Just do what's challenging for you.
Yeah, and I think you can even like I know when I go and train at certain times, because you start to know the people that train at similar times, and you know your strengths and weaknesses, and then you also know their strengths and weaknesses. So sometimes I'll be, you know, doing a workout and I'll be there with someone and I'll be like, oh yeah, they were, you know, half a round ahead of me, which means I was doing very well because I know this is something they're good at and I'm less good at it. So if I can keep up with them, then that means I've done really well in that workout. And if they're 2 rounds ahead of me, then I'm not doing that well. I know I'm never going to beat them in this workout because this is playing to their strengths. But but because I know that, I'm not going home being like, oh, I can't believe, I can't believe Rob beat me again on that workout. I'm like, well, that was a really tailor-made workout for him, and I managed to keep up, quite close. So that's a win in my book, and I can go home looking at it that way. Now, obviously, if prize money's on the line, points are on the line, it's not as easy to be like, well, yeah, but that was a workout really tailor-made for that
But
person, because
I have to look at it that way, because like strength has been like the really biggest weakness of mine for all the years I've been doing CrossFit. And like that was the 4 years I was talking about. I didn't have 1 kilo increase in my squat for almost 4 years. And now that I'm actually getting stronger, I'm still not strong, super strong compared to my level. But when I do well in, for example, Linda at semifinals last year with really heavy bench press, where people looked at as a strength workout, and I placed 4th in the Europe semifinal, that's like, okay, but this is good because I'm not the strong girl. And or like if I snatch only 3 kilos more than a girl who is a strong girl, it's like, okay, but I'm getting there, and that's good. Because if you only look at like, if you only, but I should win, it's like, it's not like that, even if you're a top athlete, because maybe if you're Tia, but like you're gonna have some holds, and you're gonna have to see that some workouts you did really well even though you were low on the leaderboard. Kind of. Yeah.
Well, we put Tia in her own little box, and we'll just close that box over there. But I mean, that was the thing with Justin, wasn't it? Like the 2 years that he won, he didn't really destroy any workouts, but he's just so consistent across the board.
He didn't have any big holes.
Yeah, and then even last year, obviously, the bike crash at the beginning was that was like the first time we see him kind of take a really low spot on a workout, and then you're like, and you can see why. And then because he's not somebody who's taking a lot of wins, he's impossible to keep that consistency now, because he's had that big dip. Interesting. Okay, very good. Well, thank you guys. It's been a fun chat. Andrea, what have you got coming up then? I'm assuming you're eagerly anticipating the quarterfinals that will be kicking off very soon.
I'm excited. It's a little bit tricky with the new system, so I'm really nervous. Like I felt really secure that I'm the fittest I've ever been, but it's only 40 spots, and it's a lot of 1,000 people competing. So with only 4 workouts, everything can happen. So I really need to be focused. But I know I'm good enough, so I would just have to perform and hope for that we're not having any troubles with anything.
Who was it? I think it was Maddie Harris that I had on quite a while back, but she was sort of saying that her focus is on quarterfinals this year, because particularly in Europe, it's a super strong field, and actually
it's 4 workouts. It's not enough to actually filtrate, in my eyes. It was 11,000 women going on from open to quarters, and to take 11,000 down to 40, I think you would need more than 4 workouts. But let's hope they just program it round enough that the 40 right women are there. And then I feel pretty good for semifinals this year. So I've never been fitter than I am now, and my lifts are going up, and my weaknesses are getting smaller, and that have been my problem for the years that I haven't been to the games. Now is that I'm really good. I'm at the right level for many things, but then my weaknesses are exposing me too much in some workouts, and that's what's holding me back. So hopefully this year it's a little bit more complete.
Yeah, let's hope. Well, all the best at quarterfinals. Just because then once you're at semifinals, you kind of, you never have control, but like, it's that many athletes, you're going to be doing the same workouts, you're all there in the same environment. It's a little bit
more controllable.
But having such a big number reduced to such a small number. So let's hope all the best, and people can follow along on they can find you on Instagram, and they can see how you're getting on, and all the crazy people down at Oslo, and going to be taking on these quarterfinal workouts together. Athena, obviously we've mentioned that you're coming over to England in July. But I think you've got some other stuff going on before then. I've seen you some seminars with Proven and different ones. So what have you got coming up?
Well, first, Andrea, I wish you massive luck. I'll be following along. Super excited for you, and just
thank you.
Lots and lots of luck. Yeah. The next one coming up is Proven here in like 2 weeks. So super stoked about that. After that, we'll be over at Big O, Stacey Tovar's gym in June. And then we'll be in the UK in July. So yeah, lots of stuff. And then
Nice.
the journey is just an everyday kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a busy couple of months that you've got coming up.
Yeah.
And then recently you started doing your like check-in videos again are up on, is that on your YouTube channel, isn't it? Is that what you're putting on?
Yeah, I never thought I'd be starting my own YouTube channel. I'm kind of learning the ropes, but yeah. The idea is to have like a coach's check-in every week. So every week it'll be a different topic,
So like
different
rotating
coach.
around.
Yeah, rotating the coaches.
Nice.
Yeah. And that gives kind of the coaches a break. And you know, so there isn't that pressure on any one of them. So it seems like it's working out pretty good. So this week it'll be Carolyn.
Nice.
On Thursday morning.
Thursday morning. So people
bright and early.
Yeah. Probably trying to think what time that would be for us. That would be like afternoon for us. Mid-afternoon.
It'd be afternoon for you, yeah.
Well, that'll be fine. That's not too bright and early. So people can follow you along your journey. You know, you're posting up the articles in Morning Chalk Up. You've got your Instagram where they can see the different things, and now also YouTube, so people can follow what's going on there, and they can go to Scaled Nation if they want to find out about the some of the upcoming seminars and things.
Absolutely.
Posted there as well. So recently at this time I've been announcing who's coming up on the next one, but I'm still in the process of finalizing dates and times for people, so just assume that it will be some wonderful guests that will be joining me on the next live show, and then we'll fill in the blanks a little bit later. But thank you everyone that joined in live and left some very interesting comments as well that gave us something to talk about. Appreciate that. Thank you once again, Andrea and Athena, because you've made my life very easy by being wonderful guests. And hopefully I'll see everyone next week with, as I've said, some unknown yet, but really incredible guests.
Thanks a lot.